Dear friends, we are going to continue on. We are on 1.3, subtracting integers. Subtracting integers. So integers, again, are whole numbers involving negatives and positives and 0. And we're going to use our number line again to give us a good idea of which direction we need to be going to make sense of all of it. And in our first section, we're talking about a negative minus a positive. Now, what is going to be the result if we have a negative number and then we're going to subtract a positive number?
Isn't it the same as adding?
Depends.
No, you'll get a negative. You get a positive.
Who thinks we will
You
always...
go negative.
You go up.
Go negative.
Oh,
Who thinks we will always end up with a positive?
Not always, but like depending.
Who thinks we could end up with a positive? Who thinks it will always be negative? Let's draw a number line and figure this out. So let's say we're starting, so here's 0. We're starting with a negative number and we're subtracting a positive number. You're just
you're taking away.
You are going left twice, Kate. Yes. I'm actually
So let's look at exactly what number 1 says.
So
negative 4 minus 9. So we're starting here at negative 4 and we're moving more negative. We're moving more to the left.
Positive 5. What?
So no matter what, if you start with a negative and you subtract a positive, you will always end up with a negative.
Yes.
No, I didn't.
Got it right. Yep. You got 50%
Wait,
chance.
so what's the answer then?
Ow.
What's the answer?
No, the real.
Okay.
Number 1 would be negative 13.
So again, it would be negative 13. You're starting at minus 4 and you're moving 9 more into the negative.
Wait, is that 9 a positive
Where
or
did it go right
negative?
though?
Where did it go? How come they make this so
Mystery.
confusing? Why
Is
don't
that-
you just say negative?
Can you guys pause?
Right.
You guys pause?
And I'm slow.
Girls and boys. So there are multiple ways to write things in math. This, yes, it says you are starting with a negative number, which we have here in this negative 4, and you are subtracting a positive number. So you're subtracting a positive. Well, that's really just the same as subtracting. It's tricky because it says positive, but you're really just subtracting the value 9. So you're moving to the left 9. It's the same as adding a negative number. You're going to get more negative. You're moving to the left 9 more. So if you're starting 4 to the left of 0 and you move 9 more to the left of 0, you will be at negative 13. Yes.
What is it?
Okay, let's look at number 2. Number 2, you're starting at minus 38, negative 38, and you're subtracting 56. Now 56, yeah, it's a positive number, but we're subtracting it. So if we have our number line here, and we're starting at negative 38, which way are we moving if we're going to subtract 56? We're going to move further into negative territory. Okay, so our final answer is going to be negative. And listen to the trick here. Really all we're doing is we're adding 38 and 56. That's how far to the left we're going to be of 0. 38 plus 56.
94.
Thanks, 94. And it's going to be positive or negative?
Negative.
Negative 94. So we're adding, but it's always going to be a negative answer. Go ahead and try number 3 on your own and check the board when you're done. This one we're starting way to the left of 0 at negative 289. And which way are we moving, left or right?
Left.
Just one more to the left, one more further away from 0, which is going to bring us to negative 290.
Wait. Oh, I got that.
Okay, in our next section, we're going to not be doing a negative minus a positive. We're going to be doing positive minus positive. So we've got positive
Normal subtract.
minus a positive.
This is like normal subtract.
And what's that going to be?
It's positive. Positive or negative. Or negative.
It could be positive or negative.
Pause or negative?
Now, how do I know? How do I know which it's going to be? We should start to see a relationship here between some of the other problems that we've done so far.
If the first number is smaller than the second number, then it's going to be negative. If the first number is bigger than the second number, it's going to be positive.
Sure.
Okay, so if the first number is greater than the second number, it will be positive. If the first number is less than the second number, the final answer will be negative. Another way to think about this is, isn't this... we might be crossing over 0 again. Okay, let's draw a couple here. We'll try a few together. 19 minus 4. Again, every single time, please do your number line every single time. Yeah, it might get tedious after a while, but it'll get it in your head, right? You said, oh, that's a good way to picture it. So let's keep picturing that way so that eventually we can do it without the number line. And just picture the number line in your head,
What if
okay?
you could do it without
Starting
the number line?
with 19. I hope you can do this one without the number line. Which way are we moving, left or right? Right. Are we going to cross over 0? Nope. So our final answer is still going to be what sign?
15 positive.
Still going to be positive, right? Still going to be a positive final answer. So we're really 19 minus 4. You should be able to do that in your head. 15. Number 2 says 8 minus 32. Go ahead and... Nice. You're working faster than me now. That's a good thing. So we're starting over here at 8. And we're going subtracting so much so that we're crossing over 0. We're going to take away 32. So, well, what's really happening here is we could think about 32 further from 0, and then we're moving to the right 8. It's kind of either way you can think about it. You're either moving to the right 8 and then subtracting 32, or you can think of it as starting at 32 to the left of 0 and adding 8. Either way.
That one makes more sense.
No,
So
that's
what's-
9 minus 6.
What's our final answer here, guys?
Negative 24. Negative 24.
It's negative 24.
And it sounds like you're trying number 3 on your own already, so I'll get there. 56 minus 97. Got your number line. Starting over here at positive 56. And we're moving to the left. Are we crossing over 0?
Negative 41.
So our number is going to be a negative final answer.
41.
And what did we get? 41? Negative 41?
Yes, sir.
No, you may not ever use a calculator right now. Okay, down at the bottom you have a trick. So go ahead and think about what the trick is. See if you can fill in those blanks on your own. You don't necessarily need to fill in the blanks. But think about what they are.
Start with the positive number.
Negative number.
The larger.
You're going to start with a larger number.
Subtract.
You're going to subtract
It's cold down here.
The lower number.
smaller number. You're going to subtract the smaller number. And then what?
Use the number of
Use the
lines.
integer of. Use a sign. Bigger number.
Use the sign of
The bigger.
the larger
Use a sign. Hey, this
Number.
was the last one.
exact same trick is going to work for this one as worked for the last one. So, start with the larger number, subtract the smaller number, use the sign of the larger number in your answer. That works when you have a positive minus a positive. Okay? That works when you have a positive minus a positive. We've taken care of 2 scenarios. We have 2 more to go before we are going to move on to our homework. So, I'll clear my board. And now we're looking at positive minus a negative. We're looking at a positive minus a negative. What's going to happen here? What's our sum going to be? What's the sign of our sum? Is it going to be positive or negative?
It could be both.
It's going to be a positive. Well, it depends. It depends. It could be both. It could be both.
We have some, it could be
Because
both.
The positive right there could be a
It's
Girls.
going to be
negative.
positive.
Girls,
Bring it up.
put up your hand if you think it could be either positive or negative.
Let me think about that for a second.
Put up your hand if you think it will only be negative. Put up your hand if you think it will only be positive. Let's draw a little number line here and have a look-see. So, we've got 0 here. And we're starting with a positive number. So we're starting somewhere over here. And now we're going to subtract a negative number.
It's gonna stay
Positive.
Okay? So this is like going left and going left two less
Two less
makes
make
a
a right.
not really, but two negatives does make. If you have a negative sign in front of a negative number, it's going to move to the right.
It's like
Okay, so it's like this wants to move to the left, but this negative sign undoes that.
It's like,
It reverses it.
balance it out.
Right? It reverses it so that you're still moving to the right. So what are we always going to end up with?
Positive.
Positive.
So it's
Told
positive.
you.
So this is one left.
Positive.
This is the one I did not get.
Another really good illustration of it is that if you ever have a negative sign in front of a negative number, these two negative signs, it's kind of like negative, negative, right? They form a plus sign. So they end up being positive 4. I'm going to go ahead and let you do 1, 2, and 3 of that section, and you can just double check the board. Make sure you're using your number lines as well along the way.
So you don't even have to think about it. You can just like go boom, plus.
Yeah.
That's the idea. We want to get to that point where we don't even really have to think about it. We're just going to know, oh, negative, negative, that's adding, boom, 86.
Wow.
Number 3, 324.
Change all the negatives into positives.
Yeah, if it helps you, you can even rewrite it the first few times and say, oh, subtracting a negative means I'm adding
So you just put a
positive,
plus.
and then I can do my work down here.
Ooh, be lucky. So you just, instead of having minus, you just put the plus.
180.
And you end up with 411 for number 3. That's pretty straightforward, and you can probably go ahead and fill in the trick there at the bottom. The trick says subtracting a negative is really just adding a positive. So subtracting a negative is really just the same as adding a positive.
We already did
Which
this.
Good.
does not make the next one also positive.
Ooh, the next one is slightly trickier. Here we did a positive, and we ended up adding a number because we had minus a negative. In the next one, we're starting with a negative number.
So negative is basically a negative plus a positive.
Right, it's basically a negative plus a positive. So is it going to end up being positive or negative?
It does both.
It could be positive or negative. How will we know which one it's going to be?
If the one number, like if the last number is bigger than the first number.
It depends on which number is larger, right? So let's go ahead and do your number lines, but don't solve each problem. We're going to write our trick before we actually solve, because then we're going to use our trick to solve. But go ahead and do your number line first for each one. So for number 1, I'll do it with you. We've got our 0. We're starting at negative 7 down here, and we have minus negative 5. So we're actually going to move to the right 5. Am I going to cross 0?
Yes.
No.
Not going to cross 0 because I'm starting at negative 7 and I'm only moving to the right 5. So my final answer is going to be negative 2. Go ahead and do your next ones. Again, just draw your number lines. Do your number line diagrams to see if you're crossing 0 or not. And then we'll apply the trick.
You don't want us to answer them yet.
No, don't answer them yet.
Alright.
So number 2, did you cross 0 in number 2?
Yes.
Yes.
And number 3.
By how much did you cross 0 in number 2? So it's easy answer there. In number 3, did you cross 0?
Yes.
By 19.
You crossed 0 by 19 there. So you're getting it really good. This is going to be plus 4. You don't have to write a plus sign. And this one is going to be plus 19. Again, you don't need the plus sign. And let's think about our trick then.
Convert
Trickery
into,
trick.
positive.
Right now it's a subtraction problem.
You take positive minus.
We can convert into an addition problem, because we said subtracting a negative is really just the same as adding a positive, and I can write that right here. So we can do negative 7 plus 5. That's the exact same thing. And then what? Then what rule are we going to use?
Start with a bigger, larger number and subtract the smaller number to use the sign of the larger number.
All right, we're getting there. So we're going to start with the larger number. We're going to subtract the smaller number. then we're going to use the sign of the larger number in our answer, in our sum. So we can look at that again for number 3. Number 3 was negative 15 minus negative 34. So in our heads, we know automatically, okay, that's actually negative 15 plus 34. And 34 is greater, and it's a positive number. So our sign for our answer is going to be positive. We're really just doing 34 minus 15. You can kind of do it in your head if you're using your number line, and we know we're ending up with positive 19. You have some practice problems there for subtracting integers. And what I'd like you to do is leave space where you were for 1.2, adding integers, and start doing this practice problem. Start doing 1.3 practice problems, okay? So leave a bit of space because you are going to have to finish your adding integers problems. But leave a little bit of space and start 1.3 subtracting integers. And your problems are from page 61, number 1 through 90, and 97. So it sounds like a lot, but it's going to give you that practice so that, oh, I can do this without even thinking. I know exactly what to do.
That's what I hate about math. So,